So this is trail day number 54, Friday, August the 7th, 2020. And stayed here at the Seth Warner shelter last night. There were several hikers here, but of course I'm the last one to leave. I put my hammock up right here in the back between those two trees. The water is down that trail there, not too far. It was rolling good last night, probably because of the hurricane, and the privy is back that way. So not a bad shelter. There's plenty of campsites for tents and hammocks. I got some over there. But the goal for today will be to do 13 miles. I'm going to skip a shelter, and then there's a steep downhill and a steep climb back out where you get off going to Bennington. But we're not going to Bennington. We're just going to have to go down the steep hill and climb out. And it's about 9:45. I went to bed about 9 o'clock last night, but somewhere back in the woods, people decided they were having a big bonfire party. I heard something sound like lumber unloading around 7:30. And until about 2 in the morning, it was just music and all kinds of screaming and yelling, cars slinging gravel. So, rather eventful night off in the woods. But it was in the 50s last night. It's probably in the low 60s right now, so the weather is ideal for hiking today. And there are several mud crossings between here and the trail. So the trail this morning is not bad. We just had a short climb. It wasn't real steep or rocky. It was about the same terrain as this. I don't know, we're half a mile, 3/4 of a mile from the shelter. It's right after the shelter, you go up about 1,000 foot. So I don't know if we're at the top or just kind of in a level spot in between. But it is definitely nice to be climbing a hill and not pouring sweat. This cool temperature's the ticket right here. I crossed the power line a little while back, but there was no view. So it wasn't much for views yesterday. Maybe we can get a couple of views today, see what Vermont looks like. So at the shelter last night, there was two hikers that I ran into while I was waiting on the shuttle in Palmerton, Pennsylvania. They were slack packing, and they stopped and they gave me and another hiker that came down and stayed at the hostel cold drinks. And they remembered me just from that brief minute and a half interaction. So, had a couple of people since I got to Vermont just walks up like, "Hey, Redbeard," and I'm like, if I've ever met this hiker, I don't remember. I mean, I met a bunch of people in the last 500 miles, so, which I should be at 500 or a little over. Maybe I'll calculate that today. See where I'm at, and then figure out the minus the miles for Massachusetts. And that same couple, they said they hiked through Massachusetts, but they got through it faster than expected because they just didn't feel welcome. All the signs everywhere, and the way the day hikers and stuff were treating them. But they said there was no one patrolling, like from authorities, Park Service, whatever. So they didn't have any issues. She just said it just did not feel like a very welcoming state. But temperature, or weather-wise, I'm glad I skipped it. And I was thinking I might have to flip up somewhere in Maine to try to get the Katahdin Fort closed. I wasn't sure, but I feel a little better about it now that I won't have to do that. But we'll see. I know most hikers slow down when they get to Maine, so we still may have to at some point. So we weren't at the top. It was just a little flat spot, but the climb's been nice. Maintain a steady pace, but we're getting there. These signature short trees. These mountains that are reminding me more of hiking in Georgia and North Carolina, which to me is preferable. There's already a trail around it to all those little short ups and downs. There's a hint of a view, not much. Good cloudy day, breezy. Perfect weather until it rains. Which I said it may do after 1. It's like a 20% chance. So may see a little sprinkle, may not. But yeah, I'd rather go up a tall mountain and then get a nice descent on the other side than something like that roller coaster terrain in New York. That stuff just wears you out. So there was a couple of hikers at the shelter last night. It was their first day on their long trail through hike, and I just passed a couple of hikers that they are finishing their long trail through hike. They're southbound. Yep, it's definitely Vermud. I've been running into a lot of this. It's just like constant. Some of it has stones and sticks, and some of it doesn't. We made it to the top and a little over. And the power line gives us a nice view. See, well, the camera may not, but see way off in the distance that way. Over here it's kind of got some clouds that blocks the view, but got another view over there. Oh, not too bad. I'm going down the mountain now. The power line was the best view. It was just a little past the summit, so I guess that little sneak peek of a view was the very top. Yeah, other than the occasional mud pit, so far Vermont is quite enjoyable. The temperatures is what's really making it. I mean, the terrain has been nice, but some of the other states where the terrain was just miserable would have been a whole lot more tolerable had the temperatures been different. It got quite chilly last night, and it's the first time I've zipped my sleeping bag up since I've been on the trail. Well, since Maryland. I zipped it up once in Maryland. But I didn't leave it zipped up for very long. I woke up about 3 hours later in a furnace, which it is a 0-degree bag, and it was in the 50s. So, well, I say the 50s, that was what the weather said. I don't know about. We were at like 2,000 something feet, so it could have been a little colder. Well, just like Pennsylvania, lived up to Rocksylvania. Vermud is definitely living up to Vermud. It's almost like they decided to build the trail down a creek. Yeah, the whole trail is just like a little, at least don't have to worry about water for right now. All the creeks and streams are flowing that I've seen so far. So we made it to Roaring Branch Pond. It's a little too chilly today for swimming. It's kind of a cool little pond. Down on the end of the pond, I don't know if this is natural or man-made. But it's a cool little place anyway. Places like this suck you in, or at least it does me. Like I could just sit down and sit here for hours. Nice brown tannin water. Yeah, it's not super cold, but a little too cold for swimming in today. So this is where you got to be careful. Had a little climb and just trucking along there, and there's so many limbs and stuff in the trail. Like there's a log right across there, and some of us, because of the mud, and the mud looks well traveled, but the AT turns and goes up through there, and it looks just like a water runoff, which it probably is a water runoff. It's the AT. So, yep, I almost stepped over it. I was like, wait a minute. Stop, check, see the AT. I don't want to do that again. Yeah, flat trail would have been nicer. Oh well. So we've been going downhill a while. We get this little rocky creek crossing type spot. It's just a combination of rocks and mud and more mud and a few more rocks and a lot more mud. But we should be at the shelter before too much longer. I think we've got like another mile or so to go, and that'll be 7 miles already, and it's 1 o'clock. So, doing good today. And then we still got to go to 13, and there's that steep down and up to deal with at Bennington. So, we still may take all day to get there. Who knows? I used to, with the old pack, everybody wanted to know how much a pack weighed. It's a big pack. The new pack, which is only 5 liters smaller, I have not had the first question about how much it weighed. Now everybody's asking me if the only questions I get is about my chacos. Are you going the whole way in sandals? I was like, well, I plan on it. We'll just have to see. I've gone 500 miles in them so far. But yeah, it's amazing what I had tuna and shrimp ramen for dinner. It's the third pack of ramen I've had in 50-something days. I don't mind ramen, but I'm not going to live off of it. And let's see, it was a French toast muffin for dessert. And I packed out of town. And then breakfast I had some instant spiced apple cider with the other French toast muffin. And a good night's sleep other than the interruptions from the bonfire. So it's amazing what sleep and food will do for you. Made it to another pond. I would say it's a beaver pond, just because there's water running through all over. So I'm not too far from that beaver pond. I stopped for a pack off lunch break, sat on that log. For lunch today it was cheese pretzel combos, beef jerky, and some Sour Patch Kids with a Crystal Light drink mix. Wild watermelon, I believe. I got those at the store at the last town. I believe last town before last. They got caffeine in them, so where the other ones were just like flavor and Splenda, no calories, no benefit other than just flavor and water. So but the Crystal Lights, that flavor anyway, and tastes pretty good. So I'm gonna have to get some more of those. Sitting there, but got chilled and chill bumps all over my arms. I've noticed after about 4 hours of hiking, the pack just comes uncomfortable. Like you just need to take it off, readjust your pants, and because these are getting too big for me, so they're starting to slide down, and then my shirt starts grubbing my sides, and so you just have to stop, readjust everything, put the pack back on, adjust everything again, and then feel good for a couple more hours. Of course, once you stop for longer than 5 minutes, you gotta get your muscles moving again. We're kind of following along this stream. The trail, we just came that way, just coming right beside it. It says this is the water source for the shelter. Got that nice tan and tea color to it. I heard that Vermont had a lot of the tannin water. Some of it doesn't taste too bad. I think New York, I ran into some of it. The Sawyer gets most of the brown out. The water I had last night at that shelter, it had no tannin to it. But it does look better than like the creeks in New York. The rocks and all were black, and I don't know, it just had like that industrial waste appearance to it, you know. I don't know if that's, you know, I mean, there's probably some natural reason for it, but the creeks just almost look like they just flowed with crude oil at some point. So that was the Cogden shelter. The AT went right by it. There were a few people that were at the shelter last night already setting up camp. They were doing the long trail. First day out, so they're taking it easy. And I'm going to try to do 6 more miles to the next shelter. It's 3:15, so I should be able to make it by around dark, just before. Just depends on this uphill cutout section at the road. I've kind of been taking it a little easy for the last little bit. I don't want to make myself all tired before I have to climb a big hill. Well, it's not big, it's just steep. Appears to be steep. So I ran into a southbounder who said the climb in and out of the road wasn't that bad. Of course, I said it once. Don't never believe anything a southbounder tells you. That probably applies to northbounders too. It's all in perspective. But he said there was some trail magic there. There's a lady cooking hot dogs and giving out sodas. So hopefully she'll still be there when I get there. But if not, it is what it is. So I have figured out with these mud pits, like a lot of rocks, you can see them, and you can see where hikers have stepped and all slushy. But if you kind of probe it, like right there is a rock. So you can step on that one, step on that one, and you still have dry toes. Hope you can see that. But sometimes the rocks just have a thin layer of mud where you can't see them. You just probe for them and there they are. No sense in having muddy feet if you don't have to. course, doing that slows you down a little if you're in a hurry to go through the mud. So we're here at this signpost. I believe this is Harmon Hill. And I have a suspicion that there may be a view right over here. There's a little bit of one. Not bad. So we'll be at the road here before too much longer. Some more southbounders come through, said the trail magic was still there, so hopeful. We'll just have to see. So I hear cars, and it looks like we're going down into a valley or a gorge. So this is the first of our steep section today, the downhill side. And then we'll find out if there's still trail magic at the bottom. It looks like a steep valley, but depending on how they have the trail, it could be quite pleasant of a hike, I don't know. But it doesn't matter, it's really irrelevant. We'll go down it and up it regardless. And just complain about it a little more if it's strenuous. And you can't really judge what the other side will be. I'm going down this one. I have learned so far the south downhill sides have all been steeper than the uphill side going north. Like Duncannon, Port Clinton. Steep descents into those towns, but coming out of them wasn't that bad. I think we got like 3 more miles for the day. It's 5 o'clock, so we've made good time. I've just taken the one break at little lunchtime, but I've stopped twice for probably a good 20 minutes or so better, talking with other hikers. So as long as I get to the destination before dark, and if there is trail magic, it doesn't too much matter if it's a little after dark, because then I won't have to make dinner. So a lot of the trail, we just came down that. I mean, it's at a nice grade. This is a little steeper, but this definitely doesn't appear to be as bad in real life as it looks on paper. The only problem with the steps is they're like, most of them at a slightly uncomfortable distance apart from each other. Couple steep sections, and then it kind of levels back out again. So Not so bad. We're almost to the road, and that's what we just had to come down. But there's a staircase made into that, so it looks worse than it really was. So yeah, as long as going up the other side is no worse than this side, we'll be good. When we get to the road, we'll find out if we can get a cold drink. If not, then we'll just cross the road and climb up a hill. No hot dogs and cold drinks, but we do have some MREs. We got some jellies and 2 dinners. So that'll be good. These jelly packs out of MREs are awesome. We got cheese tortellini and tomato sauce, and a spaghetti with meat sauce. They're a little heavy, but I only have like 2 days worth of food, maybe 3. And I think it's like 4 days to the next resupply, so that'll help out. I think I'm gonna stop here for a minute and take a little break, filter some water, and have a snack. I only have a little over a mile to go, but it's gonna be up a steep hill. Alright, so I took a break, ate the last of my combos, some Sour Patch Kids. I'm back on the trail. Of course, in true AT fashion, they're going to bring us downhill before they start us uphill. And I mixed up a Gatorade too. So. Alright, well, we're gonna get started with this. Let's see how bad it is. I don't figure it's that bad. I mean, it's only a mile, so a mile's a mile, right? So far, it hasn't been too bad. I mean, it's uphill, but it's a decent grade. It doesn't look anything like it did on the elevation profile anyway, but I've learned to expect that. It'll look like it's fairly flat, and it'll be full of like 20-foot little climbs. But it's switchbacking, so At least it's not straight up the valley. Yet. I don't know if you can see through the trees, but that's the mountain ridge on the other side we came down. So far that's the trail we've come up. And this is the trail we're going on. Has not been bad at all. Have not had any of those rock staircases like coming down. So far so good. We're probably about halfway up, so if it stays like this, it's piece of cake. I knew the easy stuff wouldn't last forever. So that's what we just came up. It was fairly flat. It came up and then kind of flattened out and came around. So now we have a rock staircase. But I can see daylight over there and over there. So there's not really any spot for a false summit to turn, so we should be almost to the top. Yeah, I can see daylight all through the trees, so okay. The hill climb wasn't that bad. Awesome. I'm sure some bad ones are coming though. Everybody keeps telling me, wait till you get to New Hampshire. So, never been to New Hampshire or Maine. Be more worried about Maine, just from what I've seen. But whatever it is, we'll make the best of it. I'm telling you, every split rock they get the opportunity to send you through, they send you through it. Oh, we made it to the top. It appears we're on Easy Street, but that could change at any minute. But we should be coming up at the shelter shortly. It's 7:15, so good timing. I was talking to a day hiker a while ago, or actually he's just up for the afternoon. If I didn't talk to so many people, and I'd get up earlier in the morning, I'd do like 15 miles and be in camp by 4. Maybe I'll try that. I'm pretty sure there's people at the shelter. Most of the ones that was at the shelter last night. That was about half. Half of them stayed at the shelter 5 miles back, and the other half was going on to the shelter. So I'll probably be in the morning for a good video of it. But 13 something miles today. It's been a good day.